Alright, got the rims painted, but you know, some days you don't get a break. You know, I shot those things inside the garage, got 3 coats of paint on them, and then brought them out here and sat them right there. And literally, it looked like this out. 10 minutes after I sat them out, it started rumbling and dripping rain. You know, some days just weren't meant to be. You know, I couldn't grab them up fast enough. So I got a couple little drips. This is just dust from falling off the car. It wipes right off. There's a couple there. There's one there. When there's one there, which is no big deal. I mean, the wheels and the center caps turned out nice. See how I did I didn't pull the emblems out. What I did is I scuffed them up really good and cleaned them up so that you could see the VW through the black paint. Now what I'm going to do is, because the contrast of this black is so much different than the black that's on the car, what I was going to do is, when I go to paint the car, I'm going to put it up on 4 jack stands, take all the tires and wheels off it, and I'm going to mount these wheels on there with just 1 lug nut. They will be scuffed up so that as I'm painting the car, I can dust them with the same color paint that's on the car really quick. It doesn't even have to be, you know, a total blasted ass paint job. It can just be a quick dusting, a couple coats, so that the contrast isn't so bad from from the wheels to the side of the car. And I'll show you what I mean by the colors. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. That's the color of the wheels, and this is the color of the paint going on the car. It's pearl black metallic. You can see the pearl in it, you can see the metallic, and all the air bubbles that I just shook into the can. It's hard to even get a good idea of but I mean, you can tell. It's got some gray in it, it's got some magenta in it, where that's just black. And then, you know, like I said, just dusting the wheels is almost like blending a panel. You know, the inserts of the wheels will still be black. I gotta get this thing out of here, clean this building up, get this engine hoist out of here. I'm tired of walking around it. That's what I was trying to explain. You know, this in here, whoops, this in here and this in here will be totally black, but the outside of the wheel that you will view will be, you know, the grayish, blackish, metallic pearl that I have for the car. And then I went and did, I just had a little paint left, and I went ahead and painted my, oops, it goes this way, this thing here. I painted underneath it, and I painted this. This is going to get sanded again, but the reason I had to paint it, because see, this was green. This has an external latch that you just reach up under and grab it and open the door, open the trunk, as long as you leave it unlocked. The other latch, you could not open the trunk from the back without the key. It did not have a handle. It just had, and I don't even know where it's at, it's just right here. It just had these cushions to put your fingers in. So you couldn't, I mean, I'm making a big deal out of the trunk latch. I just like the way the other trunk latch works. If you left the trunk unlocked, you can just reach back here and pop it and get in the trunk if you needed to. So I went ahead and dusted that with some black so I can bolt this thing back on, bolt that thing back on, get the latch all hooked back up, and then, you know, finish this. I went ahead and DA'd this down real quick. Got a little bit of color on the edges. Alright, about it for today. I got to get this thing out of here and clean this building up. Now when I go to put it back in the building, I just release the emergency brake. It'll roll all the way down into the building. Now I gotta get this engine hoist out of here. I'm so sick of working around this thing. Hogs up so much room. Alright, I got that monstrosity turned around. Now I move it same way I move the car. I have a chain permanently attached to the thing with a hook on it. I'll back my truck up here and I will drag it around to that side of the building, down about halfway. I got to move a couple of things along the side of the building there, but other than that, it drags pretty easily. I mean, it's literally like you gained a half a shot, not having to trip over that engine hoist all the time. I mean, I got tons of shit in here, but you know, that'll all go away eventually, especially most of these car parts. You know, if you get rid of all the car parts, that's everything right there, everything in that corner there, everything on that side of the two generators, all the way down to the compressor, including the seat and the transmission. If I got rid of all of that, you could actually get two cars in here. I've had three at one time. I used to have the green one up against this wall with the bumper right about here. So you couldn't even get in the passenger door. That's when we first bought the car. And it came to probably about where this seat is. And, you know, I had plenty of room to get other junk in and out of here because you steer in, you know, off to the left a little bit, nose up that way, and I mean, I used to get a full-size pickup in here. I had a 379 Peterbilt in this building. This is probably one of the biggest reasons I built this building. I bought a 379 Pete off a guy for $5,000 in South Carolina. Trailered it home. Some of the pictures of the rebuild on that thing are on the internet. I literally put it up on jack stands and ripped everything out from under it. Motor, transmission, rear ends, stripped the frame, fixed all the dings, fixed the smashed up fender. I rebuilt the motor. It had a 3406 B model in it. And you could literally, and I'm not joking, pull the Peterbilt up, nose it up against that wall to where you could walk in front of it and you could roll this door down. Now when I painted it, I would back the sleeper up to probably about here and roll the door down in front of the fifth wheel and put plastic down all around. And then I painted the cab, the sleeper, the hood, the fenders in this building. That's probably number one where all that paint come from. The whole backside of that building's a different color. But anyways, you know, that's probably the number one reason I built this building, is so I could get the Peterbilt in this. So it's 11.5-foot wide door. And but you can't get a Kenworth in here. You can't get a Freightliner in here because the cabs are so big. You would literally have to take the mirrors off, the exhaust off, you know, just to get in this building. But, you know, it's a pretty high door. And we went a little overkill building it, but it's hurricane proof, tornado proof. Those walls are sunk into that. Let me show you here. This concrete wall, those are U-blocks. Rebarred on top of those 2 blocks. Those are 2 12-inch blocks. Rebarred into the floor. The walls have bolts in them going sideways, sunk into the concrete so they can't pull out. Those are 12-inch block walls filled with concrete and rebar. That's a 12-inch block back wall filled with concrete and rebar. And the back room is a 10 by 25 12-inch filled with rebar. The only thing that is probably the weakest on this building is the roof in the back, because it's just 2x6 stick roof, lean-to type with metal on top of it. But that's anchored down, that sill plate's anchored to the top of the concrete, and those are hurricane strapped. And then these are anchored to the wall with concrete anchors into the wall there. And they're also construction adhesive attached. But I've been down here with 100-mile-an-hour winds. That big garage door rattles quite a bit. Get a little rain under the door. Steel front door. Alright, well, I gotta get cleaning, I guess. I've been yakking too much.